Howdy y'all, my name is Bryce and welcome back to some more Stardew Valley. What's the weather like tomorrow? It's gonna be a beautiful sunny day. I'm waiting for a rainy day and then we'll go upgrade our watering can. Fortune teller says the spirits are somewhat annoyed. That's too bad. Welcome to living off the land. Let's talk fences. Yeah, we'll maybe do some fences. I can do a good job of keeping my stuff clear anyways. Okay. Come to the old house, poke, bring coins. All right, Hat Mouse is here. We can buy houses. I meant to have this one over, but we'll do that for the next time. Let me go. I think I need to fill my watering can. Yep. Oh, I meant to keep the horseradish up in here. I don't think I need a hoe right now, although I could go buy more stuff with this money. I could go buy more seeds, which I should probably do. It's still early in the season. I can't get strawberries yet, which is too bad because I would love to be able to plant some strawberries. But, you know, that's the thing about these seasons is, you know, you got to wait until the stuff is available. And strawberry seeds don't really become easily available until second year. But you can get them from a couple of places. Specifically, I think, is it the Egg Festival? I think it's the Egg Festival where you can get some, which I may try and buy some at the Egg Festival. They still take a long time to grow, so I don't know if it'll be worth it or if I just want to hold on to the seeds for the next year. Although now that I say that, holding on to seeds for a year seems like a waste of money. You should just get other stuff. So we'll probably just not get strawberries this season. I don't think it'll be too necessary. Part of why I want to make sure I'm doing a lot of farming is because I would like to upgrade my farming as fast as possible. I'd like to get preserves jars and things like that. I also need to be doing foraging then, I think. So then, you know, we could go, oh, wow, we use so much water, we got to do it twice. So chopping down a bunch of trees and whatnot may be a good idea for today, especially because we have low, what do you call it? Because the spirits are annoyed. Also buying some stuff in terms of money with the money that we have, maybe a bunch of potatoes. So we will hop over to Pierre's real quick because it's about to be that time of day. Did I water this guy? I think I did. It looks like it's watered, but we're gonna double check. Okay, and yeah, that guy's watered too. Okay, I think I can actually hover over it. No. Spring harvest watered. Yeah, cool. If y'all didn't see, I'll show y'all again next time. There's a whole list of things there, and one of the things on the side said, watered, yes, fertilized, no. So it just lets you know, like, kind of where you're at on that stuff. Very helpful mod. Gives you all the information you could need very quickly. I don't think it's cheating, quote unquote. I think a lot of people might see that as, oh, Price, it's like you're making the game too easy or whatever. But it's like, look, I could have the wiki open next to me and do the same thing. And a lot of people do that. They'll have the wiki open for quite some time. Let's get some tulips. I think those will be good gifts for Sophia. 9. Let's get 18. And we can just hold on to them for the year. And then, nope. Well, 19. And then we will do 4 potatoes. I'd meant to get a little bit more, but oh well. So let's head back. We'll plant these things, and then I'll probably just do chopping trees today. And from there, we'll talk about some psych topics. Oh, I should go down and see Sophia though. Let's go down first, because once we come home, we're gonna stay home. Maybe let's go to the beach, and maybe I can find like a clam or like an oyster or something, and see if maybe she likes that. So yeah, those are our goals. So some topics. Oh, one of y'all asked about attachment styles, which is actually something that I know quite a lot about. It's a component of human development, something that we study in there. Of course, I don't have my hoe. And there's a bunch of little wormies. Oh no. Okay, so guess that's it. Will she like these is the question. Like universally neutral. Looking for orange, ostrich egg, omelet, nautilus shell. Okay, what's the other one that I have then? I just want to make sure I don't give her something that she's not going to like. It is a mussel. Maybe not, in which case we just won't give her a gift today. We have all week to give her another gift. So it's a mussel. Maple syrup, mayonnaise, Minor Street, Moral. Okay, so neither of those. So we just won't give them to her. We'll just sell them. But clams apparently are good to go for everybody. We're going to pop over this way and see nothing there. Okay. And one of y'all let me know that that's not normally there, that it has to do with... usually there's like stuff blocking that way. So it's neat that it's there. Probably added because of this, this area. Hello, Sophia. Hello. Do you need something? We're still at only friendly. Next in 136 points. It'll take a little bit, but we will, you know, we'll start bringing her gifts and things. Hopefully that'll slowly build it up. Like I said, tulips, I think are going to be a good starter for it. A lot of the stuff that she likes actually is going to take us a while to be able to get consistently. Let me look again. Fairy Rose, Fairy Stone, Golden Ocean Flower, Golden Pumpkin, Grambleton Orange, Chicken. I don't know what that is. That must be a food. Magic Rock Candy, Pearl, Prismatic Shards, and Puppy Fish. All of these, tricky to get. Tricky to get. Pearls, maybe, I can come across. And Puppy Fish. I've never seen Puppy Fish. But it makes me think of dogfish, which are like a type of shark. So maybe ocean, but I'll have to look that up. Okay. Let's head home. Have I met Haley yet? All right, well, she's going the other way, so I don't care that much. So, attachment styles. Attachment styles are a way of kind of understanding how well babies, infants, specifically kind of between the months, between the ages of like 6 months to 3 years. Although this continues throughout your life, and it kind of, when it transitions from childhood to adulthood, it basically just means like you experience it in different ways, but it actually influences a lot about your future relationships and other things. So, okay, we have 19. So the 18, I know it's going to annoy y'all. What's going to be the best orientation for this? I could do a 6x3, 9x2. So we'll do 6x3. We'll do it this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, there's no way it's going to be even across them. 6. Attachment styles. So there are 3 major, or 4 rather, major attachment styles that we look at. And you essentially measure how a child, the test for this is how a child reacts when the parent leaves a room, essentially. Because you all probably know, infants, younger kids, they don't like being separated from their parents, specifically their primary caregiver. So that's what we call whoever it is that spends the most time with them, feeds them the most, etc. In the past, this was always talked about as moms, but nowadays, primary caregivers can be anyone from the dad to grandparents to Future Price here. I got really stumped here. Haha, name of the show. And the word I was looking for is nanny. A nanny can be a primary caregiver. I guess a child caretaker. Someone who lives in the house to care for the children. Because of this, you know, it's whoever the primary caregiver is who the child looks to as their main source of comfort, usually. Basically, what is it, or how is it that the child reacts in this scenario? With these 4 major attachment styles, I'll just kind of describe what they are, and then we'll talk about how the child reacts. But the main attachment style, and the one that you want to see in kids, is what we call a secure attachment style. This means that the child seeks out the parent and experiences a lot of close emotional connection that is reciprocated by the parent. So essentially, the child gets their emotional needs fulfilled by their parent. They're able to calm back down quicker and more successfully, more positively than other kids, because they have this secure connection to their parent. The next style is what we call insecure. There's 3 types of insecure, right? If you're not secure attached, you're insecure. So there's insecure avoidant, which means the child is kind of not avoidant, but who doesn't really care about their parents' emotional connection to them. They don't really seem to care about how they are treated by that parent, but they do still seek out their parent when they are distressed. However, when they are comforted by their parent, they don't really fully get the comfort. They still take a little while they take much longer to calm down in a stressful situation. So they still seek out their parent for that kind of emotional care when they're stressed, but beyond that, they don't. They seem essentially ambivalent to their parent. And when they're playing, when they're in a time of like security, or rather safety, they don't really seek out their parent for help. They don't really seem to care very much about their parent. They're very isolated. So that's an insecure, avoidant child. Like I said, we'll run through what these look like, and then we'll run through the whys in a little bit. So the next type is what's called insecure resistant. So this is what we would call like a very needy or attached child. So they want to be constantly held and never let go. And when they are put down or whatnot, they tend to be very stressed. If they're in a situation where they are happy, they're playing and whatnot like that, if the parent leaves, they become overly stressed, yelling and screaming for their parent. Just, other, secure children and avoidant children also cry for their parents. But when they receive that love, affection, etc., the connection that they seek, they don't get calmed down. So you'll pick up this child and give them the love that they want, and they will sort of continue to be stressed. They will continue to cry and scream and whatnot, even when they're picked up. They seem to be almost angry at their parent for leaving, and basically very confused about how they feel about the whole situation. But ultimately, they seek out major connection, but they don't seem to get calmed by it. The versus when the insecure avoidant child is picked up or cared for, they calm down, but they kind of almost might push away from the parent. They might be like, okay, I'm good, leave me alone. Okay, these are good. Did we see what the spirits are like today? Somewhat perturbed. All right, so we don't really want to do too much for that. It's going to rain all day tomorrow. Oh, we don't have enough money. Maybe if I sell these potatoes. If we are able to. Let's grab this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We will see if I can get this upgraded. Probably not. I think it's $2,000, and we're probably going to only end up with $1,000. Okay, so those are the 3 we've talked about so far. Secure attachment. The child will be crying until the parent returns. The parent picks them up, and then they will quickly stop crying and want to return to play. They'll be happy again. Then the last one is called insecure disorganized, and this is a child that seems very troubled, has issues with calming themselves and whatnot. And when their parent returns to care for them, right? If they've been stressed out and crying and their parent returns to care for them, not only do they not seem to calm down, but they seem very confused about the whole situation. And while they're on their own, they may be doing a lot of self-stimulating. They may be doing a lot of stress-related actions, things that we would see in adults who are very stressed out. This is a concerning behavior to see, because frequently this is associated with abuse or neglect. And so when a psychologist sees this, it often causes them to be like, okay, we need to look into this. We need to maybe see why this is happening. Okay, so those are the 4 attachment styles that we talk about. As far as the ways in which we, like the reasons why these happen, seems to be almost entirely due to parenting, not necessarily the temperament of the child, although we will talk about temperament later too, I guess, now that I think about it. So this mostly comes down to how a parent parents, and specifically how you respond to a child's needs and its cries. When a child seeks out care, how do you respond? Do you go to the child and meet their needs? Do you kind of sometimes do and sometimes don't? Do you not provide the closeness of security, but simply just meet the needs of a child? All of these different parenting styles have a level of responsiveness that parents have towards their children. So one of the things we talk about in psychology, and this is something that a lot of people, a lot of parents will maybe argue with, but this is what the research says, is that you can't spoil an infant. When a child is that young, like we're talking like, you know, infant to 6 months, infant to 18 months, they're incapable of being spoiled. They're very simple in their needs and desires. And while you may think constantly going to them and caring for them would be like, oh no, I'm going to spoil my child, they always need to be with me now, that's not actually how they develop that kind of neediness. Going to them and meeting their needs consistently and quickly is how a child develops a secure attachment. Because what they learn is that when I am stressed out, when bad things are going on, my parent will show up and care for me. So when I'm not stressed out, I can enjoy life. I can go around, I can play with things, I can have fun, because I don't have to worry about whether or not my parent is going to be there and care for me. Or my primary caregiver. Again, if I use the term parent, that's just, you know, I mean primary caregiver. If a child's needs are met quickly and frequently and consistently, then they should develop a secure attached style. And that's what you want to see. A secure attached style is the kind of style that will lead to a child being very healthy in their relationships and feel like they are met in the needs of those relationships. So ultimately, this child should go on to be less in need of their parent as they get older, because they feel like their parent is there for them, like their needs are being met. Okay, wow, we used up all of our energy super fast. Do I end this day early, or I guess let's go foraging, because that shouldn't take any energy, right? Do any of these give me energy back? Dandelions do. Let's do that just in case foraging does take energy, and we'll just go running around. Okay, so what does lead to that kind of neediness, that overly involved neediness, is inconsistently meeting the needs of a child. So if a child cries, sometimes you go to help them, and sometimes you ignore it, right? You're like, okay, let them cry it out, essentially. This is actually often referred to, like there's a parenting style called Ferberizing, where when you're trying to get a child to get used to going to bed at a certain time, it's just like letting them cry it out. There's certain instances where you may need to allow a child to cry. However, you know, in when it comes to their needs. However, generally this is not considered the appropriate action. It is generally considered in psychology that you should meet the needs of a child when they are in need. Oh, hey, what's up with you? Andy noticed you, but isn't saying anything. Okay, nice to meet you too. So, I won't get too deep into that. What I will say, because I know a lot of people out there might be frustrated with me by saying all this stuff, what I will say is this is what the research says. And if you are curious about this stuff, you should go and look into it for yourself, because I know that a lot of people won't just trust me on that. And that's fine. You shouldn't always just trust what I have to say. You should go look into it yourself. So what leads to the other attachment styles? The insecure avoidant attachment style seems to be related to the emotional needs of a child never being met. So while you are meeting, say, look at all this trash. Stardrop Saloon bottles. Got to stop doing that with that thing equipped. The insecure avoidant type is usually associated. Is she here? She is. Let's go talk to her. Is usually associated with not meeting the emotional needs of a child and just meeting their physical needs, right? So you are providing food, you are providing, you're changing them when needed, but there's no emotional closeness. There's no hugging, snuggling, loving, any of that kind of stuff. It's just like very basic tending to the needs, and that's about it. Let's give you a horseradish. Do you want a horseradish? You're sweet, thanks. How's our stuff going? It's still, well, let's see, how much longer? 96 points. Man, oh man, I need to start giving her some good gifts. Once we get flowers going. Once we get those flowers grown. Okay. So if those needs aren't being met, then what the child learns is that when it has emotional needs, those will not be met. The parent can be relied upon to care for them when there is danger, right? When there are things that cause the child to be afraid, they can cry or, in some way get the attention of their parent, but the parent will meet those needs. However, the parent might be annoyed by it. They may yell back at their child or, make their frustrations known. So the child associates their emotions with negative responses from the environment. So they learn a couple of things. A, try to hide your emotions. Try not to experience your emotions because clearly they are a bad thing in the environment. And B, your parent cannot provide those things for you. You have to provide those things for yourself. So once these children whine and their physical fears are met, right? They are not... there's no danger in the environment anymore. They start to be kind of standoffish towards their parent. Like, all right, I don't need you right now. I'm fine. That's not something that you want to develop in a child because eventually they will have difficulty. Oh, look at that teleport. I think there's another one that's actually a mine. Over here. Let's go check this out. You don't want that in a child. You don't want them to not feel like they are able to have their emotions met because that carries on into their future relationships. Now, the final style that we talked about is the insecure disorganized. And like I said before, this is often associated with abuse. When a child kind of seems to be stressed by their parent, then this is what how they respond, because they seek out the security of their parent because they're distressed by the environment. But then when their parent arrives, they are suddenly reminded of the fear that they have all the time, the fear of the parent. And so they struggle to be able to even control their emotions in any way because they don't have any kind of coping mechanism, which in this instance is the parent, to deal with those stresses in the environment. It's very sad. It's a very sad thing. So ultimately, why do these things matter in the long run? Well, they influence and inform your future relationships. We're going to end this talk right here once we finish through this. So they essentially, if you have a secure attachment to your parent, you are likely to be secure in your relationships going forward. Because when you are detecting emotions, you believe and trust them, and you don't need to be constantly in contact or connected to somebody, because you can trust that those emotional needs will be met when they are needed to be met. And vice versa, you will know how to provide those things for your partner because you have a good understanding of those emotional ties. Insecure, avoidant individuals will have trouble voicing their emotions. They will have trouble receiving, dealing with the emotions of others, and they will frequently distance themselves from their partners. They will be more likely to spend large amounts of time away from the partner, want to not be around the partner all the time. If the partner has a lot of emotional needs, they will tend to push their partners away. So that's the kind of relational styles that come out of avoidant securities during childhood. Insecure resistant children tend to grow up to be very insecure in their relationships and very needy. They need to constantly be talking. They need to constantly be discussing their emotions. If they're not in constant contact, they get incredibly stressed out. And so, these things, again, building out of early relationships with your parent, it makes sense, right? You learned that emotions will sometimes be met and sometimes won't. And so without that security, you need to be constantly seeking it because you want the proof that it will happen again. You can never trust that it will happen again. So you need to be constantly checking on it to make sure that the security might be there when you need it. And then insecure, disorganized children, there is not enough follow-up on this to know how this influences relationships. What we do know is that those children who are abused as children are not more likely to be abusive in their relationships. And so ultimately what it leads to is, each child will be different, but ultimately their experience of relationships is incredibly distorted. And so they will likely have problems, but you can't really predict it based on that experience. The last thing I will say is that you can change these things. If you don't have a child with a secure attachment, if you start to provide constant security, constant meeting of their needs, then they will slowly develop this secure attachment. It's what you want to see. Now, the last thing I will say, and boy, oh boy, this is like a cliffhanger for Psych Talk, is that these things are informed by a child's temperament. Some kids are born easy to deal with. Some kids are born with a lot of needs, and some parents have trouble meeting all of those needs. And it can ultimately be an almost impossible thing to do. And so this can make it hard for a parent to provide the environment that would provide a secure attachment. So maybe in the future, we will talk about temperament. Let me know down below if that's something you would like to hear about. Long story short, temperament is a child's innate personality that they're born with, because personality is something that is essentially genetic, which is another thing that might be worth discussing in the future. But anyway, y'all, with that, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Stardew. If you did, please leave a like, leave a comment down below, ask me some site questions that you might be interested in talking about. And again, don't just take my word for it. Go look up the research for yourself. Just make sure that you look it up in like a book or in an actual scientific book that is actually peer-reviewed. Go look it up in scientific journals. Don't just go to Wikipedia, and Wikipedia is mostly fine. And definitely don't just Google it and go to some random blog, because that you definitely can't check the validity of. And often those things are full of misinformation. That's how you learn things that make absolutely no sense. That's how you start to become someone who believes the earth is flat. Finally, y'all, please do keep watching videos of mine. It lets YouTube know you want to see my stuff in the feed. But most importantly, I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. I have been Price, and I will see y'all next time.